Time to light the match for the burning truth with Casey Hendrickson.
You run into some weird crap on social media. You know that? I mean, just in general, but especially when you cover politics and you just watch the surreal stuff happen. So anyway, welcome to the program. First of all, it's Friday. Happy Friday. Casey Hendrickson here, The Burning Truth. Want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend, Warsaw, and Fort Wayne. Go to rbcarcompany.com. So I have changed my official Twitter X profile to future ambassador to Zimbabwe since Senator-elect Jim Banks referenced giving me that post. And I've started reading Zimbabwe, Challenging the Stereotypes, so by Robert Kavanaugh. Just preparing for my new post. And people did ask me if I'm going to keep the podcast when I go. I mean, I hope so. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is like in Zimbabwe. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But maybe if the Wi-Fi is not good in Zimbabwe, I could bring Starlink to Zimbabwe, Morgan, since I will be a part of the administration that has Elon Musk in it. So I would assume that would be a perk. I mean, I could be wrong, but I would assume that would be a perk. So I'm working on it. I feel like it's important for me to show up prepared, right? A lot of people don't do that. Like Pete Buttigieg, when he showed up as transportation secretary and didn't bother to learn what transportation was. How awesome is it that he's not going to have a job, at least in the federal government right now? I mean, that's good squish right there. I don't care who you are. Lieutenant Governor-elect Micah Beckwith has decided to challenge a human skid mark, James Briggs, from the Indy Star, to a debate. And he said that he would do it on WIBC with Rob and Casey. Not me, Casey, but Casey Daniels. And James Briggs then tagged Braun and says, come pick up your lieutenant governor. It's like, oh, wow. What, you scared? How many articles did James Briggs publish lying about Micah Beckwith? A lot. How many articles did James Briggs publish about lying about Todd Rokita? Yeah, many. And not just articles, but social media posts. All of it. Just publish anything. That's all James Briggs does is he lies. And he'll post things on social media and then he'll write an article where he, kind of takes out some of the more salty language so he doesn't get, sued because he lies about everybody. So I don't know. You spent how many months now attacking Micah Beckwith, and now Micah Beckwith is like, all right, fine, I'll challenge you to a debate then. Let's hash it out. And James Briggs seems a little nervous by that. Why? If you're right, here's the thing. If you're going to spend a large chunk of your so-called professional life trashing somebody, and then eventually that person responds and says, okay, let's debate it. Shouldn't the first response be, yes, let me expose you? Shouldn't that be the first response? I mean, you've dedicated a lot of time to this. Why is your first response, no? I don't want to debate you. Why not? Why don't you want to debate? Oh, I know. I see. Here's why. This is how things go. James Briggs will be there. Micah Beckwith will be there. And you got Rob and Casey will be there. And then Rob and or Casey will ask James Briggs to defend 2, maybe 3 points that were demonstrably false about Micah Beckwith. And suddenly, everybody starts to know that James Briggs is a big fat liar. And that's why he doesn't want to debate him. See, it's real easy to be in your echo chamber, write an article that 3 people will read, and they'll give you, proper fart-sniffing feedback. But the moment a wider audience suddenly becomes aware of your existence, because there's many of you right now listening to this going, who the heck is James Briggs? Exactly. We only talk about him because he writes about politics in the Indy Star, and he does it very poorly and very dishonestly. So Micah Beckwith will expose James Briggs for being the liar that he is. The Indy Star will then suddenly lose what smattering is left of their reputation. See, there's a reason they always put him in the opinion thing. They never let him do anything factual. Not that there's anything wrong with being an opinion writer. But if you're going to be an opinion writer, you should probably not get constantly fact-checked by everybody. and have those fact checks be accurate. So it is very interesting to just watch it. Suddenly you don't want to engage with him. That's so weird. You spent months trying to get his attention, and now you don't want to engage with him. How funny. Jackie Heinrich. She really made Karine Jean-Pierre upset. The press secretary stormed out of the briefing after Jackie Heinrich asked, "What's your message now after you made people so fearful?" What'd you storm out for? You got, 9.5 weeks left? What are you storming out for? Jackie Heinrich posted this yesterday. She goes, Biden started the sentence today with, "We're going to be okay. I was just asking Karine to finish it. Instead, I was accused of being unfair and twisting everything." Well, it seems like a perfectly reasonable question to me. Very reasonable. So you open this thing up today, and all of a sudden, we start to find just weird postings from people, even throughout Michigan. Just strange stuff. I don't know how is it? So you got Victoria Brownworth, award-winning investigative journal, 2022 Society Professional Journalist Award newspaper feature reporter, okay? That's who she is. But she also lists socialist in her bio. And it's so strange because she issued this response on Michigan and Wisconsin, because Kamala Harris lost Michigan, lost Wisconsin, but Slotkin and Baldwin won their Senate races there. And so Victoria Brownworth, who says she's super qualified, "I've been covering politics for decades and I can't explain this," which is very weird because I've been covering politics for decades, Morgan, and I can. That's so strange. That is so strange. It's almost like people like Victoria Brownworth are, not credible people to listen to. Again, the audience is like, who? Exactly. I was just pointing it out. Now, I do want to point out there's some interesting things in Michigan. And there are some interesting things that the left, suddenly, they're very concerned, very, very concerned with cheating in Michigan. That is so weird. That's so strange. See, they were concerned with cheating in Michigan before 2016. They were concerned with cheating in Michigan after 2016. They were concerned with cheating in Michigan before 2020. And then after 2020, it's impossible to cheat in Michigan. Now, all of a sudden, they're out there telling you that there was massive cheating in Michigan, which is how Donald Trump won, but Slotkin and Baldwin also won, 2 Democrats. Probably not. Probably not how that works. Now, I should note that the RNC is saying that some of the stuff that we're seeing, okay, so there's record turnout in some cities, right? Obviously, Trump taking Dearborn, Michigan was huge. But there is an anomaly that showed up in the election where there was a group of people that averaged about 2.5 votes per voter. So the Michigan election data indicates that 82,647 individuals cast 208,075 votes. It's about 2.5 votes per person, suggesting an overcount of 125,428 votes. This, of course, led to Democrats absolutely freaking out and saying, hey, it looks like we got voter fraud in Michigan. Donald Trump stole the election. By the way, he can lose Michigan and still win. So that's not a part of it. Now, you should know that the RNC, Laura Trump, who is the RNC's co-chair, said, we immediately investigated. We have confirmed that it was a glitch in the system. These duplicates were not and will not be counted. Okay. Now, that is far weaker evidence than was ever presented about 2020 in Michigan. And yet the Democrats are running with it as if they were election deniers in 2020. Very plausible explanation was given. You can see exactly who the votes are, so you just go through and you strip out the duplicates, and you shouldn't technically have an issue, right? According to the RNC. This appears to just be a glitch. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, because it's Friday and I want to give you something to stew over for the weekend if you're a leftist. Let's just say that Laura Trump is lying to you. Let's just say the duplicates will be counted. Let's just say that could be evidence that the election was stolen for Donald Trump. Here's my response. So what? Too bad. How does it feel? More coming up. You're tuned in to The Burning Truth. See, somebody on the live stream was like, hey, wait a minute. Didn't Whitmer declare election denial illegal or something? It's good stuff. Casey, when you get your new post in the Trump administration, don't forget to put in a good word for me. I'll be honored to be his press secretary. You know, it's funny because people are like doing these informal polls and stuff like that, like on social media. And like Jordan Rachel was out there and sitting there going like, hey, who would you like to see as Trump's press secretary? And I basically said, listen, I'll fight anybody who thinks that Caroline Leavitt has not earned this, like just outright. Like she's the one. There isn't anybody else at this point in time who should have that position other than her. So I will put in a good word for you, but not for that, because I want to see her every single day doing what she did throughout this campaign to the media. There's a reason they did not want her on. You know, they would only bring her on when there was something so big that they couldn't avoid having her on, but they do not want to bring her on. So she's great. She's done a fantastic job. I think she's won that outright. Of course, last night, historic moment. Went out there and I posted for everybody that you have this historic appointment out there as his chief of staff and first woman to be a chief of staff. So it's been interesting just watching how fast they're working. It's even apparently the Biden administration, the Democrats are sitting there saying, hey, like this is really quick. Susie Wiles, chief of staff, first woman chief of staff, she's done a fantastic job for him. And he's rewarded her for that. We had Senator-elect Jim Banks on the program yesterday. He's a part of that team that is putting together a list of people for these posts. I jokingly, but not jokingly, said, hey, you need an ambassador for coffee or something like that. He's like, hey, you know what? We'll make you the ambassador of Zimbabwe. In which there's so many Rhodesian jokes, but I didn't do it, okay? Because I'm trying to be a better person and I'm trying to earn the post, right? We need an ambassador in Zimbabwe. And so I changed my Twitter profile to be future ambassador of Zimbabwe. I just figured, why not? Let's roll with it. Mollie Hemingway is responding to the human potato, Brian Stelter. Brian Stelter posted this crap too. He goes out there, he goes, will there be a journalistic brain drain in D.C.? A talent agent said what I've also heard anecdotally, meaning you haven't. A lot of reporters are, quote, questioning if they have it in them to report on another Trump cycle. So they're talking about all these reporters in Washington, D.C. leaving because they can't cover another Trump administration. I mean, covering the Trump administration literally saved a lot of your liberal outlets from going bankrupt and closing. But beyond that, I hope that you leave. I hope that you get out of D.C. and you get out of covering politics because, frankly, the D.C. press pool is garbage. Let a new generation of journalists actually take a crack at it. Maybe they're going to be better at it than you. Mollie Hemingway, a real journalist, responded and said it won't be brain drain, obviously, but they should definitely all find other lines of work. The FBI. We're hearing that FBI executives are, and I quote now, shell-shocked over Trump's victory. Many senior FBI executives are stunned and shell-shocked over President-elect Donald Trump's election victory, and some are concerned about losing their jobs, as they should be. It's a countdown for FBI Director Chris Wray because people here don't think that he will stay to get fired after what Trump did to Comey. Okay? Trump fired Comey when he should have fired Comey, and he fired Comey. This is, honestly, there's a couple of storylines in my career that have been so amazingly hypocritical that they just have become core memories for me. Memory number one, people who thought that George W. Bush was a war criminal and a Nazi and a fascist and a dictator, literally celebrating the exact same policies being kept in place and expanded by Obama. And people who loved George W. Bush decrying Obama keeping those same policies as awful foreign policy. Just amazing. And that happened, folks, within the span of a month. So you went from one administration to the other one. And it was just amazing to watch people who 2 weeks ago said that this was terrible foreign policy, all of a sudden go, this is the most amazing foreign policy ever, and then the swap of that. The other thing, when James Comey got fired, that morning, leftists in this country and Democrat politicians were demanding that Comey get fired because it had been discovered that Uma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman, didn't have as many classified emails on her laptop as we previously thought, and as Comey had previously told us, because some of them were duplicates. And as a result, they wanted Comey fired because Comey came out there and told everybody about the thousands of classified emails that they had on the laptop, which, of course, Uma Abedin's husband at the time, Carlos Danger, had access to, and he didn't have clearance. And the left wanted Comey fired that morning. So I wake up, and the entire left wing of the country, Comey needs to be fired. He lied about Uma Abedin, all of this other stuff, right? Trump fires him midday. And the moment Comey is fired, the same people that were calling for Comey to be fired that morning were now saying it was illegal, unconstitutional, and an impeachable offense for Comey to be fired. How dare Trump fire the person that we demanded you fire earlier in the morning? It was, again, just one of the most amazing things that happened. We're talking minutes with the same people. I had a field. I wish I still had the social media accounts there, Morgan, but I don't. Got banned everywhere. I was documenting journalists in the AM saying Comey should be fired, and in the PM the same day saying that it was illegal and unconstitutional for Comey to be fired and Trump should be impeached and removed from office immediately. The same reporters. One of the most amazing storylines in all of politics. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for Director Wray to go. I can't. Kash Patel to lead the CIA? It's a big rumor. We'll talk about it. You're listening to The Burning Truth.
The Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. I want to thank R&B Car Company locations in South Bend, Warsaw, and Fort Wayne. Go to rbcarcompany.com and mention me when you go there. All right, what else do we got here? So many things. Jeez. I guess we got to do an update for some of the headlines that we've been giving you over the past several days, right? And even Joe Rogan's kind of picked up on this and posted that, you know, when you're a kid and you're worried the dad is going to come home. Because remember, Tucker Carlson had that whole speech about dad's coming back and dad's pissed. Dad, of course, meaning Trump, which is a play on what happened in 2016, where you had a very flamboyantly gay pro-Trump crowd, and they called him Daddy Trump. Remember that? And so Tucker kind of like played off of that dad is home and he's pissed. Like, and so you're all in trouble now. Like all of the kids who have been, you know, running the roost and misbehaving and everything else, now they got to deal with dad because dad's home. And so he was playing off of that. And Joe Rogan has kind of picked up on that too. And so he was talking about, in a post that he just did on X, he's like, you know, when you're just misbehaving and you get really scared, dad's going to come home and like whip your butt. And so you start getting in line and start acting real nice because you know dad's on his way. And then he just posted the picture that I told you of Vladimir Putin says that he's eager to negotiate and work with Trump for peace. And it's just like, yeah, I'm pretty much. So Steve Madden is halting manufacturing in China. He's going to cut it by 50% in a year, bringing it all back because he doesn't want the tariffs. The Hamas thing that I told you about, the Iran-backed Houthis have announced a ceasefire as well. The Putin thing, the Zelensky thing, the Israel thing. I mean, the only thing that isn't going Trump's way right now are the Muslims that are attacking the Jews in Amsterdam. Like everything else, stock market record highs, energy stocks record lows. It's just everything is just kind of going great. There's still the issue though, where you do have a possibility of a feckless leadership in the Senate. The Senate has always been the problem for Republicans. And when Trump had a majority in both houses in 2016, he had 3 people in the Senate who would not play ball, even though they got elected promising to play ball, and they were led by John McCain. And there's a reason that there is a rift between John McCain, his family, and Trump. John McCain, now he's gone and he can't defend himself, but whatever, who cares? John McCain ran on re-election for border security and getting rid of Obamacare. And then he opposed both. Because John McCain was a liar. Sorry, that's just who he was. That's not a denigration of his service in the military. It's not a denigration even of his service to his country as a senator and a Republican presidential candidate. But he lied. And as a result, he was supported by Trump. He was backed by Trump. Trump helped him, and then he betrayed him. And yeah, so that's the type of thing that irritates Trump quite a bit. You told me that you were in my corner. I backed you. Now you're not in my corner. Like, what the hell? So there is this movement now of conservatives in the Senate to throw their support behind Senator Rick Scott, Republican of Florida. They want him to be the majority leader. Very interesting. They want a Trump ally. They want somebody that they feel has done a good job. They don't want some of the other people. John Thune. We had John Thune on the show last month. John Cornyn. A lot of people are not happy about those two. Nice guys. Voting record, not so good. There's real fear that, hey, they probably won't be the allies that Trump needs. You know who might be? Rick Scott. So maybe. I don't know if they're going to have enough influence, folks. I don't know if they're going to have enough support to do this. But I'll tell you what, right across the way in the House of Representatives, Matt Gaetz showed them the way. Rules are different in the Senate, but Matt Gaetz changed leadership for the better. And I am not saying the Speaker Johnson is perfect, because Lord help me, he is not. But he's better than the other guy. McCarthy was awful. Johnson's better than McCarthy. That is an upgrade. Is it a perfect upgrade? No. But it's a game of inches. So can enough people get behind Rick Scott? I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. My gut says probably not. The Senate is just a different monster. Hopefully, we get to a point where you have enough votes, you have enough support, that you don't have a bunch of we'll call them rebels or whatever, who are deciding that they're going to try and nuke the agenda. That becomes the hope. Maybe we have enough. John McCain isn't there anymore. Claire McCaskill can be persuaded. These are things that potentially could happen. We'll see. I said, I'm not hopeful. I'm just letting you know what's going on. Jack Smith has signaled an end to January 6 prosecutions against Trump, asking a judge for a month's delay. We already told you that they were going to drop the records thing. The records thing is a non-case anyway. A judge has already tossed it. But Jack Smith is already backing off of this stuff. The Judge Chutkin is already backing off of January 6 defendants and sentencing and that sort of thing. You're going to get a wave of January 6 defendants let out of prison right now. Not everybody. Some people deserve to be there, but the people who don't deserve to be there are going to be let out. They're going to be exonerated, as they should be. I should say pardoned, not exonerated. Now, here's where things get a little interesting. The last time there was a changeover in power in the House of Representatives, when it pertained to January 6th, Democrats told everybody that if Republicans won the election, they were going to destroy evidence from the January 6th committee. Then Republicans won the election. And then Democrats destroyed evidence in the January 6th committee hearings. Nobody's punished. Not yet. Nobody's been punished. So now what's happened is the House Judiciary Committee Chairman, Jim Jordan, today sent a warning to Jack Smith demanding that he preserve all records related to his prosecutions of President-elect Donald Trump. With President Trump's decisive victory this week, we are concerned that the Office of Special Counsel, which again is an unconstitutional appointment, may attempt to purge relevant records, communications, and documents responsive to our numerous requests for information. The Office of Special Counsel is not immune from transparency or above accountability for its actions. True. So here's my predictions. Jack Smith is going to destroy stuff. They're going to claim it's an accident. And here's where we have the fork in the road. Will Republicans actually start prosecuting people? Because they need to. They just haven't done it. They're going to have the votes now. They're going to have the ability. Will they actually start prosecuting people who break the law this way? The January 6th committee, folks, they threw people in prison. One just got out. Steve Bannon just got out after 4 months. They threw people in prison because they did not answer a congressional subpoena. Even though Bannon, advised by his attorneys, and according to all logic and the most esteemed constitutional attorneys out there, did in fact have executive privilege and did not need to answer that call. They threw him in prison. You've had numerous Democrats, including Hunter Biden, the former Attorney General Eric Holder, and others, not answer similar subpoenas without any claim of executive privilege, and they're not in prison. People need to start going to prison. Mutually assured destruction is the only way you get back to normalcy, folks. Period. If you let one side use lawfare, if you let one side go out there and just continue to abuse you while not having the same thing heaped upon them, you're not going to make any progress. And they will always be coming after you, and you'll always be trying to make nice. Okay? It doesn't work. At some point in time, playing nice and giving compliments to the bully who is stealing your lunch every day at recess is not going to work, and you're going to have to punch them in the face. That's the only way. Or you're going to lose your lunch money every single day. Doesn't matter what nice things you say about them. Doesn't matter if you try to hug them. They're going to continue to bully you until you hit them in the face. That's the only way to get them to stop. And Republicans need to start exercising the law and the power that they have. And so if you've got Hunter Biden who doesn't answer a congressional subpoena, and he didn't, he needs to go to jail, just like Steve Bannon did. And that needs to be everywhere. Every Republican. Hey, Steve Bannon went to jail for this. He's going to jail too. Statute of limitations is probably up on Eric Holder, but you know what? That ever happens again, that Attorney General is going to jail. Period. Especially with the January 6th committee being an absolute garbage, non-real committee. So they're putting people in jail for not answering a congressional subpoena when they didn't have any legal power anyway, but they destroyed evidence. And this is where Liz Cheney gets into it. Folks, Liz Cheney, she's being advised to get a lawyer. Because Liz Cheney was a part of that committee. Liz Cheney's out there calling for unity? Screw you. No, you don't get to do that. That isn't how this works. You don't get to go out there and say, this guy's literally Hitler, he's a fascist, he's a dictator, he's going to destroy this country, and then go, well, he won, so let's have unity, everybody. No. You broke the law, Liz Cheney. You fabricated evidence in the January 6th committee. You put people behind bars. Now, you need to answer for that. So I am hoping that they go after her. But she's being advised to get a lawyer. And I sincerely hope that she does and that she needs that lawyer. Because there needs to be a massive come to Jesus moment here. Like I said, on January 6th, all things are true, right? There was police abuse. There was leftist and government instigators. There were Trump supporters who engaged in violence and property destruction. The law needs to be applied to them. And then there are people who are invited into the Capitol who didn't damage anything, who didn't hurt anybody, who are being thrown behind bars, some of them in solitary confinement. Some of them have committed suicide when they were not accused of doing anything serious at all other than parading without a permit. That's it. And there absolutely needs to be further investigation of what happened to the people who died on January 6th, none of which were Capitol Police officers. MSNBC is out there mourning the loss of a major ally. This one might be a bit of a surprise, unless, of course, you listened to the show yesterday. Then it may not be a surprise. We'll tell you what's going on coming up on The Burning Truth. All right, so we may have gotten a little salty yesterday on a couple of topics. I know. Never happens on this show, ever. Well, we referenced the new abstinence movement, the abstinence movement from the leftist women out there who are out there saying, we're not going to diddle you guys anymore until you're soy boys. Which I thought was wonderfully ironic considering the trend that's been going pretty steady for the past year of liberal women finally going on dates with conservative men and realizing, I've awakened something inside of me and I don't think that I can control it. I'm trying to keep it as PG as I can. If you're on social media at all, trust me, just if you're on Instagram or TikTok or anything, just even on YouTube, probably Rumble as well, where they do the montages of that stuff, just like liberal woman dates conservative for first time. Just do that. You will run into a whole genre of left-wing women who could not find a liberal guy that could satisfy them. And finally, usually at the behest of a good friend, took a date with a conservative guy. And they are glowing afterwards. So, like I said, I don't think this is going to work out for them. Now, what we do know is, in general, single women are Democrat. Single women with 2 or more cats are usually Marxist. Once a woman gets married and has children, their politics dramatically change. They move way more to the right. They start to get very protective of what's theirs. The mama bear mentality kicks in. Well, this is kind of the source of the whole, the lonely cat ladies out there with J.D. Vance, and you've got the whole push for single women with the abortion thing and all of that stuff. I got news for you. Abortion's not that big of an issue to most married women. Just generally is not. And if you're married to a woman who is rabid about the abortion issue, there's a good chance she's probably cheating on you and she needs an exit strategy. Just throwing it out there as a possibility, okay? So MSNBC went out there and they started mourning the loss of allyship. The loss of allyship, according to MSNBC's Alex Wagner, was the loss of women. Do you know why? Morgan, do you know why? Because women are getting married in higher rates than they have been in recent years. And MSNBC really doesn't like this. And you thought it was a tinfoil conspiracy that the left was anti-nuclear family. More coming up next.
Podcasts by Federated Media.